Hello and welcome to another weekly update. It's been a really busy week. If you watched last week's, you'll know I was travelling all of last week, so got back at the weekend and then straight back into it this week. Kind of lots of catching up and lots to get done. And then today was a really good day actually. It was one of those rare days where I spent the whole day in Visual Studio doing some development work, which is kind of getting more and more unusual now, so that was really good, but has left me kind of the end of this kind of Friday night feeling kind of drained. So it's kind of a good feeling though, and going into the weekend. So and super productive as well. Got some interesting product stuff done on that kind of on that Teams platform. Got a bunch more questions, but yeah, it's exciting. It reminds me how good the Microsoft Teams developer platform has got these days and how joined up it can be, and that's worth remembering actually. If you're looking at building these applications, don't think of them in these silos of do I build a bot or do I build a connector or do I build a messaging extension or a tab, whatever it is. There's real power when you bring some of those things together and use different parts, all of different experiences to fulfill the workflow, but they're all talking to each other under the hood as well. You can get some really good experiences. Anyway, 3 things I want to tell you about this week. The first is the Microsoft Teams developer blog. So I think this is new. It's either new or I've only just come across it, and both of those could definitely be true. It's a collection of blog posts which have been around, and they're in different places. They're mostly across the Microsoft tech community, but this is a kind of one URL to kind of bring them all together at developer.microsoft.com. So I'll share the full link to the Microsoft Teams developer blog in the show notes. It's a good place to go just to make sure you're totally up to date with everything that's going on. Looking at it right now, the kind of latest post there is about the Teams community call. So again, if you don't know about the Teams community call, that's something that's definitely worth looking at. It's a monthly event. It happens on Teams. It's a bunch of enthusiasts and also people from product. So everybody gets together, you can ask questions, you can see the latest announcements, and just catch up with everything that's going on. So that developer community call is worth looking at, but it's also go to this blog page, the developers blog for Microsoft Teams. It's a really good place to keep up to date with everything that's happening. Second thing to draw your attention to is a new blog post in the tech community, and it's been written by Larry Jin. So Larry Jin is I'm not sure this is quite true, but he sort of is sort of in charge. He does a lot of stuff with the dev platform for Microsoft Teams. He's an important person in that space. So he works for Microsoft, and he's a lead PM, I think, for developer platform on Teams. So he definitely knows what he's talking about. He's a very smart individual, and he's a really nice guy as well. So he's written a blog post about new ways to manage Teams applications and integrations for your organization. So this is kind of for IT people, but developers, you'll want to know this exists because you will get asked this a lot. So it's all about capabilities to help drive adoption and to push specific applications in front of users, but also hide other applications that aren't necessarily important or that aren't critical to the work that users do. So it's policies, and it's policies to hide applications, but it's also policies to promote applications as well. So there's a bunch of screenshots in there as well around how you do these policy assignments. You can do them in the portal, or you can do them in PowerShell. Larry's got all the details here. He's got all the links to the PowerShell stuff. He's got a bunch of screenshots as well showing you how you do all that. Yeah, that's definitely of interest. If you have apps out there and you're being asked how you can secure them, how you can drive them, what you can do about it. So you can, for instance, did you know that that left rail down the side of Teams? You can actually pin apps there, so you can pin your own applications alongside the kind of first-party Teams calls, messages, kind of icons as well. You can put your own application there as well. So that's really important for kind of businesses that have a brand or have internal apps that they want to promote and they want to have their users using. So if that sounds of interest, that's the blog post for you. And then finally, the third thing I want to leave you with is a fairly detailed post by the Bot Framework team, all about bot analytics. So you probably noticed when you go and create a bot, you can tie it to Application Insights, and if you do that, you'll get a bunch of data show up in Application Insights. Now, if you've never looked at any of that, then you're probably not alone, but it turns out that there's some really interesting data that gets written into Application Insights, and this blog post goes into some detail about how you can get that information out and how you can surface it. So it goes into quite a lot of good detail with some screenshots around specific queries to use. So they reference Kusto queries quite a lot. Now Kusto is a code name. It's funny, so Kusto is a code name, but I think everyone inside Microsoft thinks it's a product name because they kind of use it interchangeably. So Kusto is Azure Data Explorer. Okay, so if you see any references to Kusto, just think Azure Data Explorer. It's the layer on top that you can use to query Application Insights data. It's also known as Log Analytics Query Language. I think the Kusto query language is known as Log Analytics Query Language, and Kusto itself is known as Azure Data Explorer. So they've got some good queries in there for pulling out, for instance, your bot usage by different channels. So if you want to know, who's using my bot, is it Facebook, is it Slack, is it Teams, what is it? Then there's queries in there for you to do that. You can put out the different activities people do. You can run a bunch of other queries, and it goes into some detail about how you can do all of that using the information you probably already have in Application Insights. So all very, very useful stuff. And if you've got any significant bots out there in the wild and you're keen to understand how people are using them, and to kind of get, drive some kind of better insights and stuff from doing some of that analysis, then that blog post will be useful to you. All right, I think that's everything I want to say this week. Have a great week next week, and I will speak to you again next time.